I'm going to summarize some of the key lessons from the book Convergence Marketing. And this is all about combining brand marketing with direct response marketing. Now, a lot of people are going to argue for one or the other. We're either going to focus mostly on brand marketing or we're going to focus mostly on direct response marketing. And with most marketing books that you get and most marketing thought leaders, they're overwhelmingly going to favor direct response marketing and specifically copywriting. But as you become a more and more sophisticated marketer, as you start to get more experience in Fortune 500 companies and brands that blow up out of nowhere as startups, you realize that there's a huge role to play in brand marketing and that ultimately that's kind of where you need to get to at some point. So what I really like about this author is basically he's asking a key question an advanced marketer needs to ask himself or herself, which is the right balance between brand marketing and direct marketing. And he has some answers to that. So the central thesis of this book, is, as I take it, is basically you can build brand marketing and demand marketing at the same time and even in the same advertisement, which is a really interesting approach that I think is definitely worth testing. So the author had some experience in his past working at Kawasaki, and they were spending around $5 million on print ads. And those ads weren't really getting people into the shop to look at the motorcycles, etc. And one of the challenges was they didn't have enough budget to get the needed frequency. So, yes, you can reach a lot of people with print ads, but if you're not reaching them multiple times, they might not actually act on those ads and come into the store. So what he proposed was instead of just promoting the brand, why don't we also promote an invitation to take a test drive? So this is what we would call a direct response offer. And what he found was it's actually very easy to get bikers' addresses from the Department of Motor Vehicles, and you can see then how easy it would be to send out direct mail that isn't that expensive to invite people to take a test drive. So the background of this book is how marketing was understood since the 1960s, which is relying largely on this funnel concept of AIDA, beginning with awareness and driving people to action. But what the author proposes is that this doesn't really work for most companies. Maybe 5-10% of companies can actually make it work because there are three things that you need. The first is you need a visionary CEO. You need a large ad budget where you can get a lot of repetition, a lot of frequency, and you need a product that's at parity with the competition or even better than the competition. And the other thing typically is that companies that make ADA work rely on big agencies that are able to put a lot into high quality production, the kind of creative that wins awards and generates word of mouth, generates a lots of awareness. So for most companies, ADA doesn't really work, in the author's opinion. So what we need is a new model, and this is what he's proposing on the left. This is his new revised funnel. It's the convergence model. So it starts with awareness and then moves into engagement. And the key component here is really the interaction. So what is the interaction? Well, an easy example here is you survey people to be able to put them into certain buckets. So for example, you might ask them about specific pains that they have. And then you're able to classify them. So you're able to say, okay, this is somebody that's going to buy a lot and they're going to buy soon. So this is like a marketing qualified opportunity, a sale or sales qualified opportunity. Somebody else maybe less likely to buy and less likely to buy a lot, and so on down to somebody who really just isn't qualified at all, will never end up buying the product. So what we can do is opt them out of all our marketing altogether. And then what we do once we classify them is we're able to engage them in a dialogue. So in terms of how I approach this is I would put people into certain marketing funnels, perhaps in MailChimp or some email marketing, or perhaps some retargeting ads. And you could do that based on this kind of response. So one of the key difference here is that you're getting people to interact with the ad. You're not just driving awareness, and then you're able to triage people into different channels based on their responses. So the next step is to drive consideration and then preference and then trial, sale, upsell, cross sell, and referral. And then you have a complete marketing funnel, a complete marketing cycle. So one of the cornerstones of this is empathy. One of the big challenges I see in marketing is people really don't have a lot of empathy. Marketing people don't have empathy. So, for example, there are tons of cold emails that go out that are just immediately, hey, do you have 15 minutes to jump on the phone? 99% of people don't want to get on the phone, and they certainly don't want to get on the phone right away. I would say around 95% of people aren't even in market. They're not shopping for anything that you're selling. So there's a lot of missed opportunity and a lot of annoyance and inefficiency happening in marketing because we don't have empathy. We're not reaching customers, prospects at the stage that they're at. So, what he's saying here is target the individual where they are in the sales cycle with messages that resonate. And one of the ways you do that is through this interaction stage. Get people to raise their hands, ask a few questions. So, typically, these are questions around pains, not deeper funnel questions like do you want to lease or buy, what color do you want. So for example, when I go to a website for cars, they're going to ask me immediately really hot questions like lease or buy, what color do you want, when are you going to buy. It's way too aggressive. That's going to happen later in the funnel. What we're interested in is more high level stuff like what particular pain do you solve. Maybe are you interested in a sports car, or like are you interested in buying a car for leisure or more for practicality? And then we can get into kind of the nuanced buying decisions later on. Next, what we could do is classify the type of lead. And basically, what we're trying to do is we don't want to push them too far. We don't want to come across as too needy and aggressive. That's going to turn people off, and you're going to leave money on the table because there is a certain subset of people, arguably the largest subset, are going to be those that need further nurturing. And then there are those that are ready to buy now. And that's actually a tiny fraction. And too many marketers are focused on just the hot leads. So, all too often in marketing debates, people are trying to decide should we do direct response marketing, getting people to buy now, which is at this extreme, or should we do brand marketing, which is just reaching tons of people with creative stuff that they remember? So, what the author is proposing is the Rosen velocity scale, where we don't actually need to make that choice. But before we do, let's take a look at what this means. So, this is a velocity scale. So, the highest velocity marketing you can do is extreme direct. Just buy now before supplies run out. And then the other extreme is just creative brand marketing. So, an example of creative brand would be Nike's Just Do It. It's not even about a specific product. It's not talking about discounts or promotions. It's not asking you to buy anything. It's just saying just do it. It's kind of high level creative. Basically, what you're doing with this is you're linking the brand to a category. So the category might be sports apparel, or perhaps more narrowly, we're talking about athletic shoes. We're going to be focused on trying to get the frequency up. I would also say you're trying to get the reach up even more so. And we're focused on mind share. We're trying to get in people's heads so that they think about us when there's a need to buy something. Now, in the middle, at a medium velocity, we're talking about getting people to interact with the ad in ways that don't fully compromise the brand. So when ads get too direct salesy, they start to get cheesy. They start to compromise the integrity of the brand, especially if it's a luxury brand. So what you can do is something a little less aggressive, but still a call to action. So, for example, call for free info or get a free preview rather than buy now before inventory runs out. That's sort of cheesy talk. Now, at the other extreme is pure direct response. And typically, what these are is only used with fad products. Why? Because they don't really have a brand that they need to protect. And I think ShamWow kind of fits this category. So we have ShamWow masks, which is probably piggybacking off the pandemic and the surge in demand for masks. Now, only $19.95, as seen on TV, double offer, order now, free shipping. You get two masks with it. We accept this, this, and this, these different payment terms, and it's sort of this exciting impulse purchase. Hurry, lots of it. You need to provide lots of info when you're doing something like this type of direct response marketing. Often, direct response marketers will say, "The more you tell, the more you sell." So you see that with very lengthy direct mail letters. Another key reason you need lots of information is you need to address everybody's objections, and you can include things like a coupon so that people respond right away. So you can see how This style of marketing is very, very different from this. And one of the points I'm making, it's not that this is better or this is better. It's that they serve different functions. They're at different velocities. And one of the arguments that the author is going to make is that you can actually combine elements of both to create a velocity in the middle around V5. So here's an example from the book Convergence Marketing, and you can see an ad for TaylorMade for these golf clubs. And you can see this is a pure direct response ad. Lots of text, emphasis on the headline, emphasis on the offers, starts tomorrow, blowout. It's basically a blowout sale. Here's the price. Here's tons of information. 20% off. Meet the person that's gonna sell it, some bonuses, 1-800 number, blah 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 blah. So tons of text, tons of information. Not really building the brand, not creating desire necessarily for the brand or the authenticity, but more just getting people to act. That's a velocity of 10. But let's take a look at what a velocity of 5 would look like, where we're not fully brand and we're not fully direct. We're about half and half of each. Well, we have the left part of the ad, which is largely about branding, right? We see the TaylorMade logo is pretty prominent. It's also prominent here. For every player, which is the slogan that has nothing to do with direct response. For every player, there is a club, right? It's not saying, oh, special offer, 10% off, which is the kind of marketing lots of marketers like to do. So there's a balance here. But we also have a free offer if you do want to act now. So you're going to get some free golf balls, and there's a picture of the offer. There's where you can take people up on the offer when the expiry is. Here's the 1-800 number. So we're able to achieve both with this ad. We're able to build a brand, the TaylorMade brand with the slogan, but we're also able to capture people that perhaps are interested in responding to the ad. Now, I recently got a question from a student about how to cater marketing to people at different stages of the funnel, at their different stages of awareness. And I think all too often we're a little too overconfident with thinking we know where people are in the funnel. The reality is we don't, especially when we put out a massive ad like this to a lot of different people. So sometimes the safest approach is really to give something for people at different stages. So we're giving this for the people that really are not going to act anytime soon, and at least they're going to remember the brand. And then we're giving this for the people that are going to look more closely at it and act on the offer. So we're able to capture both of them without assuming that the audience is in one bucket or the other, which is a fairly conservative approach to marketing, but one that we don't really see that often. What I particularly like is the small image of the offer. It makes it more tangible. And we're going to see more examples of that later. Now, here's another example of a Velocity 5 ad, which is half brand, half direct. Tango for smooth, graceful web application development. Download Tango free and get a free CD. And then we also have the special offer, win a free workstation. So I think that's going to be something like winning a desk where you can put your monitor on it. So this is a special little bonus incentive on top of the free CD that's really going to entice people to act now. I've had a lot of success with this myself. I've had success case studies that I've talked about extensively where what you want is not just the direct response offer, but also a special incentive. And in some cases, it might be $100 Amazon gift card. I've seen an example where it's a Bose portable speaker. In this case, it's a sweepstakes that to potentially win a workstation. This type of stuff is very effective to get people to act. But you can see that we're not just trying to get people to act. We're also building the brand, right? Tango, we have this romantic stylized picture. It's not a picture of software that you would typically see or some sort of technical thing. It is branded, it is creative, but it's also direct responsey. And you can also say that we're creating a sense of urgency here by saying, don't delay, get your free Tango software now. We're putting a monetary value on the workstation they can win. So it's blending these two things of creative branding, of repeating the brand name, tying it to the image, and also heavy on the getting people to act. One thing you could give away is a free DVD, which is a little bit of an outdated concept, but there's other types of offers we can present to people. We can present a white paper. So I recently ran a lead generation campaign where I just sent out a a one-page tip sheet or cheat sheet, if you might want to call it. If it's something related to automotive, you might have a safety guide. The DVD could really be about anything. You could put out a book. Maybe you've self-published a book on Amazon, or your CEO did. You could have that as a direct response offer. I have a client that has the rights to do that with a book. You could create a microsite for a cause. So maybe there's a cause related to the pain that your prospects have. So you could direct people to that microsite. You could also provide people with a financial tool to calculate how much they need for retirement or how much life insurance they need to support their family, something like that. Now, one of the key principles in this model is nurturing. Nurturing means you're going to get more money. All too often, people leave money on the table. If you talk to people that have been doing marketing for a very long time, especially in business to business, but I would say also in business to consumer, it's that you are going to extract a lot more value if you don't just rely on people that are going to buy in the short term, but also nurture those who are going to make purchases in the long term. So one of the key things that happens when you use one of these offers is what you're really deciding is I'm going to get these people and I'm going to nurture them, and I don't expect them to buy right away. But ultimately they will if I hit them frequently enough. So let's go through an example of system Pavers. So originally, their call to action was request a consult with a salesperson to come to your home. But you can see that a lot of people aren't going to want that. They respect their privacy. Maybe they're not ready to buy now. They don't want somebody coming into their home. In fact, most people aren't going to be ready for that. So this scares off a lot of prospects who otherwise might be potential customers. And basically, what they're doing is what a lot of marketers do: is they're only focusing on the A leads, the people that are ready to talk to a salesperson now, and that's only about 10% of prospects. And if we listen to Dan Kennedy, who's another author and one of the leading people behind direct response marketing, he's the guy who coined the term lead magnet. He says one of the biggest mistakes people make is they create lead magnets, the offers that we were talking about earlier, that only focus on people that are ready to buy now or in the next, say, few days. But really, what you want is a lead magnet that is going to get you a larger group of people that you can nurture and harvest to get a lot more money in the long run. So instead of having request a consultation, we can have different offers. Request a free digital rendering, a rendering of what your house would look like with a new gazebo, for example. A free dream kit to plan your walkway, your patio, etc. And we can also add a special incentive. So, for example, Haagen-Dazs ice cream, or two different buckets of Haagen-Dazs ice cream that come with your free DVD. So these are the kinds of things that are going to appeal only to people that are interested in upgrading their home, but not necessarily just those that are ready to do it tomorrow. Of course, the exception here might be the Haagen-Dazs, where some people are just going to want the ice cream. But you can mitigate that based on who you're targeting, or just go with one of the direct response offers above. So really spend a lot of time thinking about what your offer is and how to nurture the leads that come in. Now, another case study we have here is from Disney's Magic Kingdom Club, which is a business to business offer. So, what the case did was they sent out a large 3D package delivered to 4,900 HR directors. Now, I did this recently. I did something similar with a client where we only sent out about 150 packages. The response rate, the success rate in terms of new contracts won, is through the roof, because when you send out these 3D direct mail packages, it really gets noticed. It really stands out, especially when you compile it with some sort of gifts like free food, etc. There's lots of case studies showing that this is one of the most successful ways to build sales pipeline. Okay, so within the package was a red box, a pair of Mickey ears. Now, if you've ever been to Disneyland, and I was there about a year ago, people go crazy for these Mickey ears, and they're not cheap either. I think it was like $60 or something for just cheap piece of plastic. But it's exciting to get that. There's an image of fun places in the park included in the package. There's a letter inviting them to join the club, a brochure, an order vehicle, and then the success from this type of campaign is amazing. 12% ordered and a customer acquisition cost of only $29, which is phenomenal for business to business. We're dealing with HR directors and companies that are fairly large, 500 plus employees. Astounding what this kind of creative marketing can do when you're combining brand with direct. So, one of the key questions is why do this approach? Uh, why not just do separate brand marketing and direct, or just choose one or the other? Why go with this combined strategy? Well, one of the arguments I came up with is I think it's an easier political sell. If your company is used to only doing brand marketing and you're saying, oh, we're going to do brand marketing, but we're just going to tack on a little direct response, then it's more palatable. Also, if your company is small and maybe they've only ever done direct response, well, you can say, okay, well, half the ad is going to be brand marketing, but we're still going to devote the other half to direct response. So it's kind of a way of dipping your toes in the water and getting everybody to agree because there's something in it for everyone, which sometimes just creates a mess, but in this case can be very successful. The other thing is you're able to get the low hanging fruits. So those are your hot leads, the people that are ready to buy now. But you're also able to get the attention and affect people that aren't ready to buy now. So you're able to capture both of those with a single ad. And there's some efficiency there, some economies of scale when you're just designing one ad instead of separating direct response from brand. Another key thing is that it doesn't necessarily require the high frequency that you do need with brand marketing because you are able to get some of those quick wins. And one of the big things is reduced risk. So you're able to raise awareness and generate responses at the same time. So the short-term, long-term payoff both being contributed to at the same time. And it's easier to get traction than pure brand because the velocity is higher, right? You're dealing with velocity 5 instead of velocity of 1 or velocity of near 0. So I'm just going to wrap up with an example here because I think a lot of my students are probably used to doing pure direct response. And this is a case where you're still a little bit tilted to direct response, but you're able to add some element of creative branding here. And you can see that with this kind of cute little dog. We got the logo in the bottom right here. It's time to be lean, mean, and a customer's best friend. So a little more of a creative title than just buy now or get this free consultation. Streamline your e-business with best of breed applications from Frontera. We got a considerable amount of text, but not too much text. And importantly here, we have an image of a special incentive and how to respond. We're creating a sense of urgency. We're doing all kind of the typical direct response stuff, but with some element of effective branding and with the logo being large enough that it may be memorable. And we're using some distinctive brand imagery which is this cute dog, which mascots are one of the most memorable things that you can include in your brand marketing.